Good evening and welcome to another episode of COVID Conversations with me, Carvin Goldstone. So it's been an interesting week. The president addressed us twice, and I know some of you are still not sure if you can go outside. Of course, he was quite clever. He gave us a difficult speech in some ways because what he did was he kind of extended the lockdown, but not many of us noticed because he did the funny mask trick. And when he did the mask trick, we all laughed. It's like an old magician's trick. You do sleight of hand, and then you do something, you slip something in. And so he slipped in an extension to the lockdown. He did the mask trick, and then we were all laughing. And then we didn't realize that on the 1st of May, we're still going to be stuck in our house. In fact, most of us watched the president this week asking this simple question. And yes, Tats and Konzo telling us how we all felt as the president spoke to us.
We shall recover, we shall overcome, and we shall prosper. May God bless South Africa and protect her people. I thank you.
So can we go outside? Is that a yes? President? Hello? Sisi? 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 Yes, is that a yes? Is that a yes?
So to answer my question, no, you cannot go out. No, you cannot have a braai with your family. No, your granny cannot come visit you. And depending on where you live, the conversation is quite different from community to community. Where in my community, people are still discussing, can they have cigarettes? Can they drink? Can they have a party? But not everything is the same in every community. Here's Gilly Apter telling us from the suburbs what the whites are saying.
This is Gilly Apter with your coronavirus update, reporting live from the suburbs. Last night, in his second address to the nation this week, the president informed us that we would be released from lockdown in a phased approach. Yeah, look, it's not very clear. We're in level 5 now, then we're moving to level 4, then it's level 3. I want to know which level brings back the money I lost in the markets. I just can't wait to go to the hairdresser. I had to wash my own hair this week because I just couldn't anymore. I know, Rome's, and please God Sorbet falls into level 4 because I really need a wax. But how funny was Cyril with his mask? Honestly. I know, shame, he was so cute. I just love him. And I absolutely love him. Like, just the way he's handled this whole thing has been amazing. I know, Rome's, everything he's done has been incredible. No, unreal. And now we can just go back to life. You chicks realize nothing's changed. You can go for a run and have a smoke. Literally still in lockdown. Literally, exact same. Oh my God, you are always so negative. That is what the whites are saying, folks. This is Gilly Apter signing out live from the suburbs. This is a developing story.
So we've all got our own ideas about this pandemic and how we fit in and how it affects us. But the group I feel sorry for the most has to be smokers. If you're a smoker out there, I just want to say something to you. This has been tough. You've been caught in the crossfire of this pandemic because there you were every day just smoking your life away, carrying on, and all of a sudden you had to stop. And you started looking at your pack as it ran out. And before you knew it, you were down to your last few cigarettes. And now the price of oil, soon cigarettes cost more than oil. As oil went down, cigarettes went up. And eventually you went past the price of toilet paper. A loose cigarette in the black market would cost you more than a roll of toilet paper, would cost you more than a pack of toilet paper. And now the president has spoken to us. And many of you watched every presentation by the president, wondering when is he going to say that cigarettes are now on sale. And this is what Gino Fernandez is communicating in this video to all of us, how we feel.
the sale of cigarettes will be permitted.
Yes, it is available. You can smoke. A lot of things are becoming available piece by piece. But one thing that we're not sure if it'll come back and soon is restaurants. Now, if you like good food and you're not very good cooking at home, I don't like cooking at home, not because I don't like cooking, but because there's so many dishes. It feels like there's been dishes every day piling up for this whole lockdown. I felt like I spent most of my lockdown washing dishes. So I appreciate going out to a good restaurant. But we're not sure if this is going to come back because restaurant businesses are under tremendous pressure. Earlier in the week, we heard from Spur, the famous American brand, a Native American brand that most Native Americans have never been to. They said that they might not come back because they're not sure how they'd work with social distancing. So to take this conversation further, I have two people with me, Brett and Manny from Mozambique, although they do live in Belito and Pretoria. Hi, gentlemen, how are you doing?
Good and you, Carvin.
Welcome. Brett, let me just start with you. We've had many conversations over the years about business and about the restaurant business, how difficult it is. And then this happens, a pandemic, which kind of makes this probably the worst experience as a restaurant owner.
Yeah, it's been tough. It hasn't been an easy time. It's given us time to reflect. It's given us time to realize how nice it is to work 12 hours a day. So yeah, the whole thing, Carvin, has just been a huge shock to the system. And it's given us time to think of new ideas. There's been good and bads that have come out of it. Obviously, it's hard. You've got your staff. You know, we are going to battle with that as far as trying to get guys paid. There's problems with loading on the UIF. Some guys have been kicked out. No one really understood how the salaries were being paid. But that's one of the things we'll overcome. What good has come out of it is the ideas of what's happening. Like we've relaunched a whole new thing with Mozambique. We've gone with a retail side of flat pack chickens already with the peri peri and the lemon and herb. We're rolling out with our coconut rice next week. We're rolling out with prawn and calamari as well, which we've started. Sorry, we started those. So yeah, there has been goods and bads on it.
Manny, you've been in the business for a long time. Tell us, over the years, have you ever seen anything like this? Has a business ever been affected in this way?
Carvin, not at all. You know, this type of pandemic and this type of crisis that's hit us at the moment is something we probably only see once in every century. And at the moment, it's been something that we've obviously needed to nurture, understand, and accommodate. Because, you know, from one instance, and I'm talking literally just over a month ago, we were on a perfect path of growth and a perfect path of success. To 4.5 weeks later, being in a dire position where we have to rely on funding, we have to rely on innovation, we have to rely on changing our complete business model to be able to make sure that we've got a future, which is quite extraordinary and quite bizarre in actual fact.
Now, Brett, for a business like you guys, you're a sit-down business. I've been there many times. You sit down, you enjoy yourself, you have a bit of chats. So taking that sit-down business forward with social distancing, how is that going to be a challenge to you guys?
Well, it's a space thing, you know. That's number one. First of all, we're not sure what restrictions we're also going to have. The fact of the liquor restrictions was havoc on our business. I saw turnovers drop. In the first week, we were on a turnover of what was it? About 3.5 million for the week for the group, down to 1.8, down to 400,000.
Wow!
So it dropped huge, and yeah, so it was crazy. So Yeah, the social, Belita's a big shop. So instead of 400 seats, I can do 200 seats now. But my smaller stores, the likes of Florida Road, that's got 180 seats or 80 seats in it, what's he going to put in? 40. He can't pay rent, he can't pay staff, he can't pay salaries. So we have to look at these different things, and we're going to have to work on not just sit down. We're going to need delivery, we're going to need takeout, we're going to need retail. So yeah, that's how we're going to try to push forward.
Manny, just looking at how it affects not just you guys, but the staff that you employ, what does that look like, especially with this week, the government talking more about how we can employ more South Africans? I know you guys have a nice spread of employees. How will that affect the business going forward?
Look, it's going to affect the business, and in terms of the spread, we are fortunate or unfortunate, whichever way you want to look at it, in a position where the majority of our staff are South African. But at the same time, when it comes to making claims from the UIF, there's always question marks, and unfortunately, that's something that we have to deal with on a daily basis. But for us, the important part is being able to actually make sure that we try and look after the guys that aren't going to be able to work. And if we do, and we full out with our delivery system, which we've implemented and which we've put forward, it's a fantastic thing. But unfortunately, what happens to the waiters? The waiters at this stage of the game are not going to have any work. The majority of our waiters are contractual waiters, and they work on commissions. They work on tips. And for them, it's going to be extremely difficult. So between myself and Brett, we're trying to work out a plan where we can put in some money and make sure that we cover some of their costs, so that at least they've got something to be able to survive on, which is an extremely difficult position we're in.
Brett, we discussed earlier about how so much of the stock that you buy, you've bought in anticipation of a big April or big March, and then all this happens. And we're seeing in America the images of farmers plowing their fields back. Basically, there's nowhere for the stuff to go, emptying milk, just gallons of milk, just emptying it into the ground because it has a sell-by date. And there's so much food that's just not usable because you can't like repurpose it or repackage it for the store. It's packaged specifically for your type of business. How have you found with this sort of dynamic to the whole problem of the food supply, maybe stuff that you've ordered? What's happened to all that stuff?
So we're quite lucky in the fact that we do seafood and things like that, and a lot of our seafood is frozen. Your daily stuff that comes in is used up quite quickly, Your meat is in cryovac, so that's got a 3-month shelf life, not vacuum pack, cryovac. So it's a different. It lasts longer. We're fine. I feel sorry for the guys like the cheese makers that used to have all the pizza places. The problem with these guys is they can't stop milking the cows. If they stop milking the cows stop producing milk, and they have to buy a new herd. So we've been fine. We've made plans, and with what we've been doing now is we've been rolling out with a little bit of on the retail side through our distribution, because we can't do it through restaurants. Restaurants aren't allowed to open yet, but our distribution, because we're food suppliers, we can supply food. So we've hooked up with the likes of Food Routes in Joburg and KZN. And Food Routes helped us do deliveries and so on like that. So we're moving slowly on the path. But yeah, it's been challenging. My biggest challenge was we had 4 shops to open. We had Zambia, Lusaka opening, we had Menlyn opening, we had Bloberg opening, and we had the Pearls opening. All 4 shops, huge. So stock was like this to the top. So it's been a disaster as far as trying to work the stock. It's going to take us a while to sell it, and we don't know what to expect when we open. Who of us are going to be left? That's the tough part.
Just finally, Manny, one of the issues that we don't kind of take into consideration here when we think of restaurants is that you guys are paying rent at the moment. You've got all these properties, you don't own all of them. What's that been like? What's that dynamic been with landlords? Have they been quite understanding across the group? And are people in the restaurant business in general now concerned that their bills keep rising even though there's no income?
Carvin, it's been an endless battle in the last 5 weeks to try and get some type of consensus between tenant and landlord. It's an understanding that needs to be negotiated on. Unfortunately, some have been very hard-asked in terms of their approach, and we've had a lot of landlords that have actually been very understanding, and they've come to the table. The problem lies in the fact that we all don't know how long this is going to take. If we take a look at the restaurant business, they say level 2, we can start opening up with the restrictions. Now, level 2s are far away from the level 5 and 4 that we're sitting and facing with in the next couple of weeks. And unfortunately, there's a lot of costs that are incurred. We still have freezers that are running. We still have a lot of costs that we have to make sure that we cover in terms of salaries and wages and waiters' bills, etc. And unless we have complete and understanding cooperation from all the stakeholders, and by stakeholders, I'm referring to suppliers, I'm referring to the landlords, unless we've got full buy-in from all of them, understanding that we all got to contribute somewhat towards this economy and understand that we all can't just pay everything, then we've got a problem. But if I must say that between 60 and 70% of our landlords have been very positive, they've understood, but we've obviously got the other 30% that we've got to deal with. And that's something that we're fighting with on a daily basis.
Cool. Brett, just as we go, if I am now looking to get some Mozambique chicken and I want to get some of my favorite rice, I love the coconut rice, particularly, you know the story. What is there a way that you figured out how to get this food to people like myself who are maybe not going to be in a restaurant anytime soon?
Yeah, so well, down in KZN, Food Route delivers right across Durban through to Hillcrest and obviously Belito where we are. So it's just foodroute.co.za, www.foodroute.co.za, and they've got certain days when they deliver. And on their website, there is at the moment the chickens are there, the calamaris there. We're adding the coconut rice. I actually finished the video on how to make the coconut rice right, like about 2 hours ago, Manny, about 2 hours ago. So that'll be available from next week. And I sent it to Ricky from Food Route. He's great. He's like, great, send me stock on Monday. So he'll probably have it in store to start delivering on Tuesday. So yeah, cool. So that's where we're going.
Cool, man. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time this evening. And I wish you all the best in the months to come. Cool.
Thank you, Carvin.
You too.
So there you have it. If you're wondering when your next visit to a restaurant might be, it might be a while, but there are other ways to get hold of your food. Brett telling us about foodroute.co.za. Try to get hold of them and see if you can get stuff delivered to you from Mozambique and other places too. Now, for our final piece, we've decided to add a little tail ender to each show. And here's my good friend Vafa with the South African word of the day. From me, good night.
Shapuzet, Vafa here. And today's South African word of the day is geza. Now, geza is both a Zulu and a Xhosa word. In Zulu, it means to wash, and in Xhosa, it means to be silly. So how do we say it? See, the first part is ge, sort of like get, but without the T, ge. And the second part is za, almost like a small nyana B, like za, geza, geza. So how do we use it in a sentence? During this time, if somebody refuses to be clean, in Xhosa, we will say su geza. The su just means don't. Don't be silly. Sugeza. And if somebody refuses to be clean, in Zulu we will tell them geza, wash. So if we combine the two, we will say sugeza, geza. Don't be silly, wash. Or don't wash, be silly. But I think you know what I mean. Geza, wash. I hope that's helped. Otherwise, dinsa.